Hello and welcome. Today I went out on a little trip for the first time since the lockdown began, and the first time since I got back from hospital having suffered a minor stroke. And I went to the village of Aberdour on the Fife Coast, which is just a few miles from where I live. Just to have a walk and wander around. I took a little compact camera with me and took some more shots of the Bass Rock and Berwick Law. And that's the subject of this video. But whilst I introduce it, I thought I'd share this video that I also took this morning of some house martins collecting mud for building nests on the little stream that runs down into the sea at the sort of harbour marina area. I can't really call it a marina; it's got a few yachts in it at Aberdour, and I just thought it's a behaviour that obviously I know it occurs, and most people realise it occurs, but I'd never actually witnessed it, and I managed to get some quite good close-up shots of the house martins gathering mud. So whilst we're watching these rather cute birds, I thought I would explain what will be in the rest of this video. Now, I didn't have the P1000 with me, so they're not ultra zoomed in shots. I have the small Canon SX720 with me, which has a 40 times optical zoom, so it's quite good as a little compact camera. And I took the same shot that I've shown previously in other videos from the top of the cliffs in Aberdour and around about 25 meters above sea level. So this was mid-morning, about 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, something like that today. So the 3rd of June, and so the tide was coming in. It was before high tide, just for those who are interested, but certainly not low tide. Closer to high tide, I think, than low tide. But anyway, shot across to the Bass Rock, you'll be able to see Fidra quite clearly. You also see Craigleith quite clearly. The island of Lamb doesn't seem to be visible, even from the 25-meter elevation. And the coastline near North Berwick with Berwick Law. And then I go down to 5 meters and again down to 3 meters. Now I'm struggling with my right hand and arm quite badly since the stroke, so I found it quite difficult controlling the camera, but I'm just going to play the 3 little video clips that I shot. They weren't the main purpose of my visit today. Talk you through them and then maybe look at some stills of them afterwards. So here's the first one, and we're at the 25-meter point. The 2 light beacons, the one that's in use and the disused one. And we zoom in past it, you can see Traprain Law. Now here I struggled a little bit with the glare from on the screen, and a little bit just controlling my hand and fingers, but I'm trying to get the camera lined up and the horizon in shot. So apologies for blurry camera work, but I didn't want to edit this and have people accuse me of all sorts of silly things before doing it. So I zoom back out again, trying to get a bit better lined up, and eventually we'll get zoomed in and you'll be able to see the various features. So this is Bass Rock, Fidra and Craigleith. On the left there you can see a ship. That ship was actually coming in to the estuary, so getting closer to the camera. You could see the Fidra lighthouse there, not flashing obviously because this is during the day, and the headland at near North Berwick. There's another ship there which will feature later, and around to Berwick Law. That's a maximum optical zoom. Now we're down at 5-meter elevation, and we're going to zoom in again on the same features. I'm trying hard as best I can. Once again, we're going into full optical zoom, and you can see the ship on the left there, the top of the Bass Rock, but no sign of Phaedra or Craigleith, and the headland is looking very different, and the ship that was moored, you can only make out the bridge superstructure of the ship. It's in front of that headland, and you can't make out any of the rest of the ship, any of the hull. And then I went down just a little bit further down the rocks, so down to about a 3-meter elevation, maybe a little less, but probably about 3 meters. Excuse the shoddy camera work again. I'm doing my best. We see Berwick Law there in shot, and zooming back out. Eventually I do zoom into full optical zoom, so it's a direct comparison. Now you see we have Berwick Law, and to the left of Berwick Law you see no land. You see there just the superstructure of that ship that was moored in the estuary there, but nothing else. As we come around, you can just see the very tip of the Bass Rock, with the ship that was sailing into the estuary visible. Okay, so as I said a little bit earlier, the main purpose of my trip to Aberdour was just to get away from the house and the garden for the first time in a couple of months or more, and to enjoy a walk with my wife and have a look around. But in the process of being there, I captured those little videos, and when I was looking at them at home, I realised that the presence of this ship and the other ship moored or anchored nearer to Berwick Law as I was looking actually provides quite an interesting little observation from the point of view of the shape of the Earth. So this is a still shot from the video taken at 25-meter elevation. I'll post a link in the description to one of my other videos from Aberdour. If anybody's not sure what the location is and what you're looking at here, then all of that will be apparent in that other video, be explained in that other video. But these islands are Bass Rock, I think, about 30 kilometers away from Aberdour. These other islands are a little bit closer. Now I can't be certain of the distance to this vessel. I don't think that's too important. Anyway, I've cropped that portion of that picture, not distorted it in any way, just cropped the middle section out. Here's the still from the 5-meter elevation. Again, we have the ship in shot, and now we're only seeing the top of the Bass Rock Island, and the other islands appear to have disappeared. Because we're at a lower elevation, the curvature of the Earth is preventing us from seeing those other islands. It's a possibility that the top of Phaedra here, the Phaedra Lighthouse, I'm getting serenaded by my cat whilst I'm doing this, so if you heard that, that was young Marco, otherwise known as Spud. Yeah, so this could be the Phaedra Lighthouse. It might not be, it might just be another vessel out there, some reflection, sunlight or whatever. But we can clearly see only the top of the Bass Rock. So once again, I have cropped that out, and the slightly lower elevation, I just went down onto the rocks a little bit and reckon I'm probably 2 to 3 meter elevation above the water taking this shot, And now by this time the ship had moved a little bit further. Obviously it's coming into the estuary, so it's a little bit closer to the camera. When we place all of those three pictures side by side, we have this really nice reference of the ship as it sails into the estuary. With the islands disappearing from the bottom up, as you would expect on a spherical Earth, but the ship appearance remaining largely unchanged. It perhaps has got a little bit bigger in angular size because it's got a little bit closer over the 15 minutes or so that it took to take these pictures, these little video clips, but essentially it's the same size, and essentially we're seeing just as much of it as regardless of the elevation, and it appears to be pretty much on the horizon in each case. Now obviously as we reduce elevation, our distance to the apparent horizon here will be changing, but the ship is coming in and getting closer. And it's hard to tell whether it's on the horizon, beyond the horizon some distance. But why doesn't the bottom of the ship disappear when the bottom of the islands does? If the Earth was flat, surely a similar optical effect ought to be happening. We also have this other ship in the video. So again, we're at a 25 meter elevation, and we can see right to the waterline of the ship, essentially. Now this is moored off the coast near North Berwick. So just to the right of shot here is Berwick Law, and the islands we've just been looking at, the other ship, are away to the left. We also see these buoys here, these marker buoys out in the estuary as well. Now when we look from 5 meter elevation, only the superstructure of the ship here is visible. The hull of the vessel has completely disappeared, and all we can see is water. One of the marker buoys is still visible just here, and that's possibly another one there. Obviously because I've moved down the slope and forwards and closer to the water, my angle of observation is altering slightly. But this ship is clearly sufficiently far beyond the apparent horizon that it starts to disappear from the bottom up, and the only way that it can do that is if the Earth is curved. And if we go down to a lower, couple of meters to 3 meter elevation, again we've just got this little bit now of the superstructure of the ship visible. The tops of the trees are now no longer visible. Occasional marks that could be marker buoys or part of the ship structure here. This might be a marker buoy as well. But the trees have now disappeared completely from view. So just going back, all we're seeing in the last shot is this part of the superstructure here, and all these trees are missing. In the second shot, the trees are there, but most of the land is missing. And in the last shot, all we see is this little part of the funnel and antennae and so on of the superstructure of the ship. Yes, there's some inferior mirage mirroring reflection going on here, as you often get over water, but that doesn't explain why the ship has disappeared. So Firths, I'd love to hear your explanations for these observations. I expect you'll do your usual trick of simply ignoring them.